Greetings, my paranormal patrons. This is the Monstrous Ronin Podcast Patreon, a space where horrible humans talk a little bit more about horror. My name is Tyia, and I'm joined by my Coven,
Mila,
Louisa,
and Zeba.
And this is our bonus Patreon episode. Thank you to all our special May Queens for supporting us, and thank you, Mila, for feeling better today. It's so nice to hear your voice again and for you to be back. We love you.
Okay.
I added that in there. You can cut it.
No, I'm keeping that. Thank you, Tyia. In this episode, we are continuing our found footage horror theme and talking about the 2014 film Creep, directed by Brice. In Creep, the young broke Aaron responds to an online ad for a videographer in the remote woods, posted by Joseph, an alleged terminal cancer patient played by Mark Duplass. What begins as a posthumous film for Joseph's unborn child quickly descends into a documentation of Joseph's unnerving mind games, all enacted through motivational pep talks, childish pranks, and bizarre confessions and conversational tangents. Enjoy!
Who likes this movie?
hands up. Who likes this movie?
Mila likes it.
Me.
I didn't. Sorry, I'm the hater.
I've been forced to watch this movie at least 3 times. This is the third. It's like one of those that I think people, it's always a film student too. It's always a film student that's like, have you seen Creep? And then they sit you down to like watch you squirm. Genuinely, that's how it's happened every single time. And I've witnessed it happen to other people.
Tyia, do you like it?
I can't say that I'm a big fan. I don't hate it, but I don't like it.
I think I'm the same vibe. Like, I hated Black Christmas Remake, but I don't hate this. It's just that I didn't particularly enjoy it.
We gotta stop dragging that movie.
Never.
Okay, so Creep, Brice and Mark Duplass, who both wrote the film. Only 3 people in it, being them, and then 1 woman who's on the phone.
Do we know how much of this was written and how much was improv?
All of it was improv.
Okay.
Like, it was, again, an idea that they had, like, just be on the phone driving to a job and film it kind of thing.
The bathtub scene, for instance, if I was sitting there not knowing what this man was about to say, like, you have to be a well-trained improv artiste to, like, not up and leave the room, honestly. Like, I would, if it was just the 2 of us, especially, even if you were my good buddy of many years and we're both actors, if you start, like, I don't know, doing some tubby time shit in front of me, the project's over. I'm leaving. Like, I think you're a real serial killer. If it was in a script, maybe I could get over it. But if it was in a script, I would also not sign on to the project.
But it'd be so fun trying to, like, psych each other out, like, one-up each other. I would
Mila,
love that.
I'm not doing this with you at all, ever. Thank you for just warding me off that. I thought that, can we talk about the tub scene? Because honestly, it happens, like, in the first 10 minutes with, like, intense pedophilia vibes and everything. And I was really not prepared for it and really thrown off. Like, I knew the film was called Creep and he's meant to be a creeper. Like, that much is evident. But I didn't expect it to, like, this is, like, a true horror with, like, no warm-up. It has, like, 2 minutes on the road and then you're instantly in there talking about tubby time. And I'm just like, I'm so uncomfortable.
It feels like this whole movie was made on a dare. Like, it feels like it's all trolling. And it's it's as much, like, how much can we get people to be uncomfortable watching this as it is, like, them doing it to each other. It feels like I'm in on some big inside joke that I wasn't.
You did not consent to.
I didn't consent to, yeah.
I didn't consent to watching it, to be honest. Well, I did, in the sense of our brainstorm, but I felt like I didn't know what I was doing.
I'm not going to talk about the sequel yet. I know Mila's seen the sequel, and I do want to get into it, because it provides much to this film for me. Like, I feel like I would have, like, my mistake was watching this, like, I've seen the first one before, watching it again without having seen the second one, and then I watched it. I wish I had done it in the opposite order. I wish I'd watched the second one first, and then watched the first one.
I haven't seen Creep 2. Why is it better?
I think it's a lot better, and it makes the first one better. Do I want to get into the
Yeah,
are we
go
talking
on,
about the
tell
sequel?
me about the...
It's content, that's fine. So, like, the premise of the sequel is obviously it's a sequel, after the events of the first one. Aaron is dead, and we start the movie where he's, like, still doing murders on camera. Like, he's doing what he did to Aaron to new people over and over, and he's like, I'm a serial killer, I'm really uninspired, I've done hella kills, and it's just getting, like, boring, and not so exciting anymore. And Aaron was my favorite, and nobody's going to be better than Aaron, so I need a new muse. And so he puts out an ad online, and this woman answers who's been doing a YouTube series visiting people who put out personal ads to interview them and try and figure out why they're so lonely and sad. And it's a bad YouTube series and nobody watches it. And then she shows up, answers his personal ad. He tells her, I'm a serial killer. I'm gonna kill you. But first you're gonna help me make this movie, and it's gonna be the best movie you've ever made, and I know you want to do it because you want to make great art. And like slowly as the movie goes on, she starts to out crazy him. Like he's doing his normal thing to her, trying to like freak her out, trying to like get her to react and like be afraid of him. And she's like more crazy than him. Like dead ass, I believe her to be more crazy than energy match. And then you think like maybe she's outwitted him. Maybe like she's the only person who like he's like maybe he's genuinely fallen for her in the way that he fell for Aaron, like in a friendship way, not in a romantic way. Like maybe they've actually developed this kind of closeness, and that they're two serial killers who can do whatever. He's not going to kill her because he would be sad about it. Do I want to spoil it? If I'm remembering correctly, I literally watched this last night. There's a couple of times where you think that she's going to kill him, and then they sort of turn it on you, and you realize that like even though he did have this special connection with her, he's still going to serial kill her anyway. No, what happens is they lead you to believe, like she smacks him on the head with a shovel or an axe, or the same way that like Aaron got smacked, and they lead you to believe that he is dead, and then they cut and he's actually still been recording the whole time, and it's like one of those like fake gotcha endings, and was sort of like, oh damn, you were my favorite. Bummer that you tried to turn it on me. I was gonna kill you all. And okay, so the thing that adds value to me from the second one to the first one is he makes this statement where he says, I don't lie. He says I embellish on the truth and I tell stories, but I never lie. And he does lie. That's what fucks me up, is like, why even say that? He definitely does lie. Like in the first one and in the second one, this whole thing where it's like, my wife is pregnant is a lie. Like, no part of that is true besides that there's a real person. I feel like
your mistake is expecting the truth from a serial killer. So you couldn't believe that he'd make a false statement like that.
Yeah. And his whole thing is being this, like...
liar.
Like, pathological liar.
Compulsive,
like, that is that's what's interesting about, I guess, the first one in retrospect is, like, everything this man says is a lie. And you have to, like, watch it with that in mind for it to be... Because he sometimes, like, can't even keep up with his own lies, and he'll just, like, pile on top of them. You know, if he's putting things in the drink, or he's doing whatever. So, like, I kind of want to... I hate that I've seen this movie 4 times now. Because now I have to watch it. Yes, I do. Because literally, I'll be like, oh, you want to watch a movie? And then some deranged film student puts on Creep. It happens. It would be Mila if it wasn't anybody else. But yeah, maybe I'll rewatch it knowing.
Remember when Mila made us watch Possession? And
I was literally about to say
warning? That. We had no warning. For a fucking V-Day special, Valentine's Day.
I didn't think a warning would you have believed me if I had warned you?
I may not have believed you, but I would have respected you more after.
I'm not looking for your respect. Creep, it's like quite not an easy watch, but like a fun watch.
Fun, Mila.
It's obviously very disturbing, but I think that it always presents it in a way that is tongue-in-cheek, like especially like they're like two buddies, two filmmaking buddies who've just made this film together. It never quite loses itself in like the dark themes. It never feels like it's about that.
It's classified as like a horror comedy, and I was like, why?
I feel like anytime like you're dealing with like improv or stuff like that, it just feels comedic in a way. It's just like saying stuff for the sake of saying it more than like intentionally being creepy.
To me, that's not comedy.
It's funny in that like I am laughing because I'm so uncomfortable, and that, but it's also funny, I guess, if you know it's improv, because then you're sort of in on There's nothing darker happening. They're literally just saying like the first thing that came to mind to like push the other person as far as they could. And then that's like that's just a certain thing that some people find funny.
I guess I did know before I looked it up, but it's like that it was improv. As in I was like, this movie more than the others that we've talked about for this episode, I was like, this is 100% gotta be improv. And then I looked it up and I was like, yeah, it was improv. So maybe I get what you're saying in that way.
Both of the actors in this movie, though, like the way that they bounced off each other was a lot more natural than the other found footage films that we watched. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like the premise itself is like, I don't know if many people would go into the woods and be like, I'm gonna go record this documentary.
How broke was he? He stayed for a long time.
I don't know how believable this is as a premise. So their connection is pretty much the only thing that's selling the movie. Because, like, to me, I was like, I mean, realistically, I think he probably would have bounced pretty quickly. Was the job even worth it based on, like, the amount of gas it takes to get there? Like,
a fun drinking game would be take a sip every time you would have left.
Yeah.
In Aaron's position. Like, there's a lot of really big red flags early on, but then there continue to be tiny ones that sort of, like, go on throughout that I think are like, dude, bro, like this, but then, like, they sort of start bonding, like that scene where they're at the Heart Rock by the waterfall. I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. Like, maybe he just does care about this guy's, like, unborn child. Like, but part of me is, like, my suspension of disbelief comes with, like, how long are you believing this story? That, like, this is what this video was for. Like, how long do you believe this man is actually married? Who would marry? How long are you believing that, like, that there's a pregnant mother involved? How long are you believing that this guy actually has cancer? I don't believe anything. And the fact that, like, it seems like Aaron is there just to do the job. It doesn't really matter if he believes it or not, so long as his, like, life is not immediately threatened by this guy. And the second it is, when he, like, suspects that there's something in his drink or whatever, then he starts taking action, and it's, you know, a regular horror in that way. But I'm like, bro, from the get, I would have, like, there were so many things. There's so many things.
I watched Aaron and I kind of related in the sense that I used to be, I mean, this is a limit. He's a hyperbole for sure. But I used to be so passive and, like, just, like, I feel like I would have 100%, like, accidentally been in a situation where I'm just like, oh, I do feel like bad. Like, I feel like his improv was good in the sense that he mastered the sort of awkward, not wanting, like, very obviously uncomfortable, but not wanting to be, like, rude. And that was, like, I've been in that situation 100 times.
It's the not wanting to be rude, but also not wanting to provoke him.
Yeah.
Because he seems like he could, like, snap in any second. So, like, maybe I'd be like, yeah, man, your son. Like, I could go along with it for a while as well.
But I don't know. Obviously, there's to a point. Like, I don't know. I think you'll probably... But to be fair, we have, like, gender dynamics if I was there, because I'm, like, I would never allow... I think the fact that he's another dude is, like, potentially, like, why he doesn't actually, like, alert to the fear as much. Because if it was me, if a man got naked and wanted me to film it, I'd be like, well, I'm instantly out. Like, I'm never doing that.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of began to clue in when he started having, like, that rape anxiety hot tub kind of dream. At one point, he says, like, that he gets interrupted, but I think he says that there's like spikes that he's sitting on in the hot tub, and I think it was, like, strong, like, penetration, rape, fear, anxiety dream.
I feel like this movie is, like, a subtle, I think it's unintentional, but it kind of feels like a subtle metaphor for, like, a failed relationship. Because there's so many, like, warning signs that, like, he should leave, but, like, the desperation and, like, loneliness, like, makes him stay there. Yeah, his desperation, the fact that he's broke, the fact that he's lonely, like, all of it is, like, what keeps him there.
Joseph's desperation, he seems so lonely and, like, he really wants a friend. I think that's the main reason Aaron stayed, is, like, damn, this guy really seems like he just wants a buddy right now. I will say though that like by the almost end of it, I'm not. I wasn't sure that Joseph was the killer. Like towards or a killer at all. I thought he was just like a weirdo,
Really lonely, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it's possible that the end of this, he's just like a really lonely, weird dude, and like that, like the thing that we're supposed to learn from it is to like sometimes people act in awkward ways, and that doesn't indicate that they're like dangerous.
No,
I don't think he was acting in like awkward ways. Like he definitely was acting in a way that was dangerous.
yeah, he had like murder red flags.
No, but like I think I believe that he wanted Aaron to think he was a killer, but I don't know that I believe that he genuinely was. Like I thought the whole thing was that he was acting, and that the whole point of the movie is that everything was acting. Like the tapes that he sent where he's dragging the bodies out or digging the grave, I thought that was just for the drama. I didn't believe he was an actual killer until the end.
Okay, well, I did.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Louisa. I think it's like sometimes like the desperation to see that people are good like clouds your judgment on the obvious that's like directly in front of you.
I didn't think he was good. I just thought he wasn't a murderer.
But that was what Aaron's perspective was. He was like, oh, like even
Yeah.
when he sends that final video, and I put the photo reference in the script for you guys. He goes, he sees that face, this like typical white, when you're passing another white person smile that people do. And he goes, he's so scared.
So
Look
sad.
at him. Yeah, so sad. Something like that.
He is pretty sad.
He said white guy smile. Like especially if, after a guy holds the door open for you and you say thank you, every time you turn around they always have that face. It's not what I would associate as being like so sad, but also like him even meeting him in the first place felt like such a strange decision. And also, like, I think this movie unintentionally highlights, like, the failure of the police to actually do things in situation where you're being stalked.
Yes, I was just saying that. Like, I'm like, that's realistic. The police don't do shit with stalking complaints.
They don't. They can't. They don't do it until they have to already, like, done a crime in order for them to consider stalking in and of itself a crime. And I think that's just the stupidest thing fucking ever.
In the second film, he's clear that he has committed, like, 40 plus murders on camera. And has never been caught. And, like, is always, like, really messy about it. His whole deal in the second movie is, that, like, he's an artist. Like, he's a director. He does these kills to, like, make films.
It's totally them, two LA, like, filmmakers taking the piss out of this process. And I think maybe if you know that, then, like, you can ignore the other parts of the film where you're like, what the fuck? Like maybe some of that rape anxiety and the like bestiality, which obviously is fucked up shit.
What do you mean? Don't just tack it on there and the bestiality. We're gonna stop and we're gonna dwell on it.
I welcome our dwelling on it as a very, very serious horror podcast. But I'm saying that watching it, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I didn't dwell on it at the time.
I don't think they're promoting bestiality, but I would rather it not be there.
So I think this is the first time ever we'll have like a bestiality content warning, and I was really not expecting that for this podcast episode today. So I was upset that was there.
I mean, this movie even had like pedophilia undertones in some parts, and I was like,
not an undertone.
I know that there are like ways that the pieces could be there. If they're just basically saying whatever shit comes to mind, I feel like there's not like a thread throughout the film that's like this has pedophilic undertones. I think it's just like a lot of patchwork of fucked up shit that kind of doesn't amount to anything.
but that feels like edgelord stuff, and I feel like edgelord stuff is just as weird and problematic.
Yeah. No, it's very much in the vein of like this whole thing is trolling. Like the whole thing is like what's the most extreme thing that you can say, and like there are certain things that hit us harder.
That doesn't mean that I don't think that it means that pedophilia is not like the tubby scene was too loud for me not to be. It's more than undertones is what I'm saying. But you're right, as in I don't necessarily think it was like. I don't think he meant it. I think this is one of what Zeba said. Like, this is one of his lies, and he's trying to be say the most shocking shit in order to unnerve Aaron, Joseph's character in that moment. So, like, I get that he probably isn't. He's just trying to be deliberately taboo because it's part of his, like, mind
And this
game.
is low-key, the culture of, like, improvers and improv comedy, especially, like, amongst each other, is to, like, push the other person as far as you can to, like, get, like, a reaction that's not like un-PC, out of character, whatever, to like get the content. And like that was very apparent in the second one because the actress who was in it, they've worked together before, like same thing, like buddies making a movie type of deal. And like her whole thing, her character is different than Erin in that like she doesn't react or pushes further. And I think like seeing that makes it feel like less of a, I think there was a more of a power dynamic between like Joseph and Erin than there was between like the woman, which like I think they had to do that because she's a woman. Like if it would have looked like it would have been really hard to watch if she couldn't hold her own in the second one.
I feel like this movie is like a weird sort of BDSM horror in a very subtle way.
Horror is porn. I keep saying it.
The way that they unnerve each other, but mainly one-sidedly unnerve the other, is just like very uncomfy. This movie doesn't feel like necessarily like traditional horror to me, but it's just creepy. I guess the title works.
Yeah, creep. One thing that I thought was interesting was the fact that he seems, if we're to believe that it's not all a lie, or even if it is a lie, he seems to very much have daddy issues, when usually when we have serial killers, it's like a mommy issue. So it's kind of funny to have a daddy issue serial killer man. And his language was very, like, switching from infantilizing to just childlike in itself. Like, he'd be like, I know that, okay, here's the thing. I know, like, every person, especially California, says buddy a lot. Like, hey, buddy, come here, buddy. But also it is, like, a way of, like, what you talk to kids, and I feel like his tone and inflection would often be a little bit childlike. So he would be, like, almost Aaron's, like, his child. So he'd be like, hey, buddy. And then Joseph would also be, like, very childlike himself and be like, can I have a turn? Or I made a new friend. Or I did something really bad. And it was just really jarring and unnerving. And I think that's also what gave me pedo vibes as well. Like, it wasn't just that one tubby time. It was like the fact that the whole time we're switching between dad and switching between father and fathered. It's just weird.
Too Freudian for your liking.
The way that I interpreted that, like, I guess what you interpreted as, like, childlike language, to me, it reminded me of, like, you ever met a nice guy who is, like, you know what I mean?
Pathological nice guy.
Yeah, nice guys who that is how they identify and are offended if you don't, like, see them that way. And it's very much, like, the way that he sent especially in the videos that he sent afterward, he was like, hey, man, like, I was just trying to look for a friend, and I know that you probably think that I'm a weirdo, and you don't have any special relationship with me, and like da-da-da-da. Men do this all the time, and it's like the most transparent manipulation I've ever witnessed in my life. But like that is what his language reminded me of. Is like, you want to come off like so innocent and like, oh, poor me, like I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just like trying to like have a relationship with you. I'm so like, I know that I act awkward and that what I did was wrong, but please forgive me. Like that is what I was picking up on more, and it irritated the shit out of me.
Between that and Louisa saying the daddy issues that are sprinkled in there feels like Psycho.
Yeah.
Like not even like the sort of weird subverted mummy issues with Joseph and all these like weird Freudian anxieties that they basically like shit them all out at once. But also like obviously like most of it is just probably them messing around, but it really is the psychology of a man, white men. And especially for me, it felt like that sort of common narrative of like loner, disenfranchised
big incel vibes.
Yeah, and there's this one line, I can't quite remember it. It's when he sends Aaron the second video, and he's basically like apologizing, but he's doing it in such a manipulative way where he's like, I'm sorry that I sent you that video of me implying that I was burying your cut up dead body, but to be fair, you had upset me.
Yeah,
tell me this isn't every man apologizing and intellectualizing their like psychoses to people.
Big, yeah.
Fuck you, Hitchcock. This is the new Psycho. This should be of greater cultural relevance.
I feel like you're making me like it.
The power imbalances in the movie feels almost like, do we feel like Aaron has like been feminized in the film, like through the power dynamic and through like his willingness to give into like the nice guy trope of being like, oh, he's just misunderstood and like he deserves my forgiveness. I should meet him. And like just how ridiculously trusting he is versus like, I'm not sure that I've seen an interaction between two men where like they are that disarmed with each other. Like the competition aspect was never there with them. Like Aaron was like very almost like maternal in some ways rather than paternal. He wasn't necessarily like being hard on him or like forcing accountability or anything. He was very like overly sympathetic and like cautious about how he spoke and everything. So I feel like he felt like more feminized, and like this is almost like the film feels like a examination between the power dynamic between like men and women in uncomfortable situations. Like you don't always even feel like you can just get up and run, for instance, because you're like, they might kill me. So sometimes you stay in like very uncomfortable situations for long periods of time, even if it's like at work or a casual meetup on a date from a app, because the guy starts saying something weird and you just sit there longer than you want to because you feel like if you get up then he'll make a scene or something. Like it almost feels like it examines that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I definitely think he's emasculated by Joseph, but then when you're talking about masculinity and you're emasculated, that is also inherently feminized, I guess, because don't people just think the absence of masculinity is femininity? Yeah, I definitely see that as well with the rape anxiety, especially because it comes after Joseph talks about how he raped his wife in a weird beastiality fantasy or something. It was weird.
Also the like incestual connotation of that, because Angela was actually a sister.
It's like all the taboos. So I do see that. I do think it could be like he was a bit feminized, but I do think that if it was a woman, it would be, they couldn't have made the movie because I don't, like Zeba said, like you wouldn't have gone.
If they would have used a female actress in this movie and gave her like the same demeanor and vibes as they gave Aaron, it would have felt like a snuff film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
It's a buddy movie.
It's just guys being dudes.
Two bros sitting in a hot tub, 5 feet apart because they're not gay.
And they weren't gay. Because for a while, I was like, this feels a bit romantic. But
It
like,
almost got gay. Yeah,
it almost got gay. But like in the end, like they're like buddies or bros.
But that is gay. We know this. Straight men are gay.
Yeah.
But like in the same way that the second one I wouldn't call romantic either, even though she's a woman.
Yeah.
Like they're by the end they're like not friends, but they're like, you know, allies, comrades.
I think you guys are making me like this more because I think we're adding like layers to it that were just all accidentally happened upon during improv, but let's roll with it. I like it. I was going to ask you guys, do you think it's a realistic depiction of insanity? Because I was going to say yes, but I couldn't articulate why, and I feel like you've just articulated it perfectly in this whole conversation between us, being like, yes, because it's a very good like depiction of like a man's manipulation tactics and like the like dynamics and the competition and I think it is a good depiction of like some sort of murdering narcissist guy.
I'm not gonna call this insanity. I think you're right, like conflating it with like how men are socialized, because it's like, I feel like there's been like, if we're talking about incels or like that kind of behavior or like this kind of entitlement, it's like, I don't want to call that mental illness because it is so socialized.
This is the men are scary film genre.
This movie really reminded me of Afflicted in that, like, they're just buddies kind of way. There were so many instances where I was but it makes more sense because Aaron at certain points is filming for his own safety, that like things should be recorded for evidence purposes. And Afflicted, I'm like, turn that camera off.
But if Aaron was really this broke that he had to go out into the middle of the woods to record a video for a dude, he should have just sold his camera equipment and he could have made a YouTube with his cell phone camera.
Men are dumb, and their sense of danger is way off because they are so rarely in danger under normal circumstances. They're usually the danger. So like it took him longer for it to click that like you actually need to like leave. It actually took until the phone call where Angela's like, actually just walk out the house and don't.
Yeah, you had to actually be told by a woman to get out the house. Whereas I would have, as soon as he's like, come film me in the tub, I would have been like, out. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you for listening to the Monstrous Feminine Patreon. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, SoundCloud, and Spotify at The Monstrous Feminine Podcast and on Twitter at The MonFemPod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts to be our Witch of the Week in the main episode. We also have a TikTok. Follow us at The Monstrous Feminine Pod for more podcast clips and fun. Brooms up, witches out.